It's time for another episode of The Adventures of William Ruby, Private Detective, brought to you by Amber Silk Beer. Amber Silk, so smooth, so rich. It's the beer that feels as good as it tastes. Buy some today.
Will Ruby here. I'm a Los Angeles native. Born and raised in Hollywood, actually. Most people who don't live in LA think the city is nothing but Hollywood, all movie stars and movie studios. Au contraire. For instance, we still have ranches and farms in the San Fernando Valley. The valley is just over the Hollywood Hills, less than a half-an-hour drive, but might as well be another country. The movie studios in pretty little neighborhoods on the southeastern end give way to orange farms and ranches to the west and north. One of those ranches, the Rising Star Ranch, turned out to have a lot more going on within its split-rail boundaries than roping and riding. It was a case my sister Harriet, also known as Harry, brought to our attention. She's a stunt woman for the movies. Frankie, Francis O'Shea, my business partner, sidekick, and the owner of my heart, and I agreed to meet her for a late dinner to discuss it. Frankie and I usually go to Sadie's when we're meeting clients. The food is the best, and after 8, the place is quiet. Sadie never minds us taking over a corner for business. Harry insisted on meeting at the Aloha Club instead, which is next door to Sadie's. The food is, well, actually the same. Sadie and the Aloha Club's owner, Flame, partnered up, but it's a lot noisier and usually crowded, even on a Monday. Harry likes crowds and noise, then Harry is a lively crowd all by herself. I asked if our brother George, a lieutenant in the LAPD Homicide Division, should come too. She said he wouldn't be necessary. He wasn't that night, but he would become very necessary. Why did Harry want to meet here? Be able to hear what she has to say.
I've noticed she likes to play Mother Hen with you. Maybe she wanted to make sure you ate something other than a ham and Swiss sandwich?
I like ham and Swiss. Well, I like Sadie's version anyway.
I thought I saw you two being seated. Hello, puppy. What are you doing here on a Monday night?
Meeting Harry. She said she had a case for us.
Oh, right. She did mention something about a case. You should order the fish tonight, boy and girl. Sadie got hold of some fresh mango and coconut, and she's made her favorite recipe, which she's calling snapper waimanalo. I'm not much of a fish person myself, but I love it.
Ooh, yes, please. How can a Hawaiian not like fish, though?
Try having it 3 meals a day for your entire childhood and see if it still thrills you. Make that too, puppy?
Yes, please. I've been dying to try Sadie's fish with mango. She's been talking about it forever.
I'd better make it 4. Here comes Ruby number 2 and guest. Harry, are you wearing chaps?
Nope, just a skirt that looks like chaps. Dolores made it for me. Did Sadie get the mango?
She did. I'm about to put orders in for all of you. Now, be polite and introduce your friend to Will and Francis while I do it.
You have to stay long enough to be introduced too. Flame, Willie, Francis, this is my friend Virginia Gregg. Virginia, Flame is the owner of this club, and my friend, and this is my brother and his partner. Now you can go, Flame.
Welcome to the Aloha Club, Virginia. I'll send Sergio over for your drink orders. As for you, Miss Sassy Pants, we'll discuss who's boss around here later.
You and Flame seem to really hit it off, Harry.
We have. She's a good egg. So is Virginia here.
How do you know each other, Virginia?
I work for a ranch that rides animals to the studios. We're loaning horses and cattle to the picture Harry's working on.
I've added horse wrangler to my list of jobs on this one. Not only do I have to ride them, I have to make sure they don't run away. Virginia and I talk to each other at least once a day. That's how we became friends.
So you need someone to nab cattle rustlers, Virginia?
No. All of the livestock is present and accounted for. I'm not sure how you can help, really, but Harry insisted I talk to you.
Good evening and welcome to the Aloha Club. Oh, it's you guys. What can I get you?
Just orange juice for me. One drink is never enough, and horses and hangovers don't mix.
Same for me, thanks.
You're welcome. I'll bring another round for you other two as well.
Thanks, Sergio. Why don't you just tell us what the problem is, Virginia? We'll know what to do when we hear it.
Okay. I work for the Rising Star Ranch. It's owned by the Reynolds family. Jim, my boss, is the third generation to work the ranch. His daughter, Jamie, she'll take over the ranch when he retires. Jamie's been working the ranch since she started walking. She really cares about the animals and the land, just like her dad. I've worked at Rising Star Ranch almost as long, since I was a teenager. I started by mucking out stalls and feeding the animals and worked my way up to the head of the rental department. The ranch is a wonderful place to work, and I love it. Well, it's been wonderful until lately. A couple of months ago, Jim's attitude started to change. Instead of the gregarious jokester I know, he became sullen, angry. The business isn't a problem. We're busier than we've ever been. Whatever's eating him, it must be huge, though, because he's taking it out on everyone, especially Jamie. Well, everyone but Cherry. Cherry's the second wife. Jamie's mother died a few years ago. He met Cherry the year before last, and met her about 6 months later. Cherry's nice enough, I guess, but she's not interested in the farm or the business at all. I think she'd be happy in Beverly Hills, to be honest, with the way she acts and dresses.
Maybe she's been complaining to her husband if she doesn't like her living situation, even trying to get him to move, and that irks him.
It's very possible. I don't know. I'm probably overreacting. It's just that.
It's just that you care about the family at least as much as you care about the job. You'd like to help if you can.
You are a good detective. It is that. It's also a feeling I have, an intuition that something's going on, something bad. But that's all I have. I just don't see how you could help.
We can detect. It's what we're good at, after all. I know. We'll visit the ranch as prospective clients. You can give us a tour of the place, introduce us to as many people as you can.
We're really good at reading people. We'll be able to tell if anyone is hiding anything.
Would you really do that? I hate to ask. It's such an imposition.
Nah, don't worry. I'll make Harry pay me back in a few hours worked.
No forcing necessary. Happy to do it.
I don't know what to say. Thank you seems so inadequate, but thank you. All of you.
No need to thank us yet. Wait until we see if we find anything.
I have a feeling it's a when, not an if, Frankie. Virginia's not the only one who's got a feeling about this. Let's do this tomorrow. I want to scratch that itch. Snapper Waimanalo is one of the best things I've ever eaten. And I've eaten a lot of meals. Oh, that is one fish I'll never forget. The feeling I got from Virginia is almost as unforgettable. At the time, I didn't know why her story flipped the switch on my 7th sense for trouble, but I would. It was still on alert the next morning and grew stronger the closer we got to the ranch.
Wow. Look at those old buildings. And all the wild scrub and cactus. I feel like we just drove into a western.
We did, in a way. I did a little research last night. The Rising Star Ranch was used in no less than 50 films in the silent era. This is where our last client, Lillian Hasling, made Harry's favorite movie, Mary of Black Rock. Bet she'd love to know that.
Oh, she knows. She reenacted most of the movie when she came to pick up the horses. Hi, guys. Thanks for coming all the way out here.
We should, thank you. It's wonderful to get out of the city proper for a little while. How are things here?
Quiet. For now. That could change at any moment. Let's start with a tour of the facilities. I told Jamie that a Mr. and Mrs. Diamond were coming to discuss renting horses for their children. She said she'd try to come and meet you.
Children? Yikes. Okay.
It's only pretend, Will. You can do it.
I guess. Lead on, McDuff.
Do you have a lot of animals here?
We do. Horses, cattle, chickens, ducks, geese. You get the idea. Jim and Jamie just came onto the porch. Boy, do they look mad.
Pretend you don't see them. Maybe we'll hear something useful.
For the last time, stop asking me that. I won't answer you. It's none of your business.
Dad, it is my business. It's my business more than anyone's. Maybe even you, and you know it.
Yeah? Well, I'm the head of the family and the head of this ranch, and I'll do what I damn well please. Who's with Virginia?
Potential clients, I think. She said some were coming over for a tour.
And they just heard all that. Oh, swell. Well, I better go turn on the charm.
Dad!
You've said your piece. Now get out of my sight before I do something I regret.
Oh, this is not the end of this, Dad. I won't give up.
Good morning. Welcome to Rising Star Ranch. I'm Jim Reynolds, the proprietor.
Yeah, pleased to meet you. I'm Sam Diamond, and this is my wife, Mimi.
Well, proud to know you, Sam, Miss Diamond. Have you seen the ranch yet?
No, we just got here.
I was about to take them on a tour.
I'll go with you. One of the does birthed twins this morning, and I want to see the kids.
Does? You have deer, too?
No, doe is also used for female goats. They're called nannies, too. Boys are bucks or billies. I've raised over 5,000 goats in my life. You can make great house pets with the right house.
No, thanks. We're just interested in a couple of horses for girls.
Oh, well, good for you. Horses are great for kids. Good exercise and gets them outside. You have a couple of young mares that should do you nicely. Earl! How are the kids?
They're doing great, Mr. Reynolds. Already kicking up their heels.
Ah, so I see. Now come here, you little squirt. Oh, yeah, you're a feisty one. Good. Feisty means healthy. So go to your mom now. Earl, this is Mr. and Mrs. Diamond. They're thinking about renting a couple of horses for their kids. Earl here is the ranch foreman. He's only been with us a couple of years, but he already knows the place as well as I do. Earl, I've got to go deal with a couple of things. Help Virginia show the Diamonds around, would you? I'm thinking Mariah and Casey would suit their needs.
Sure thing, Mr. Reynolds.
Pleased to meet you, Mr. and Miss Diamond. Hope we come to see a lot of you. Virginia, can I borrow you for a minute? I need you to explain a contract before I sign off on it.
Of course. Please excuse me a moment.
You must be looking for horses for your children. Mariah and Casey are two of the gentlest, sweetest horses ever.
We are. We need to be certain we get good animals. The safety of our daughters is our chief concern.
We have nothing but good animals here, Mrs. Diamond. Rising Star Ranch prides itself on its reputation for excellence.
How about you? Do you feel the same way about the ranch?
Why, sure. It's as much my name on the line as Mr. Reynolds in a way, as I'm responsible for the animals. Now, if you're asking if I'm happy here, the answer is yes. Jim Reynolds is a good, fair man. I've worked for much worse, believe you me.
Very good to know. Happy staff makes a good business.
Sorry about that. Even on a ranch, there's business that can't wait. You should see Mariah for yourselves, Mr. and Mrs. Diamond. Why don't you bring her out, Earl?
Why don't I, Miss Virginia? Excuse me, folks.
He doesn't like you.
Or is it that he doesn't like women in general?
Oh, I think he doesn't like being told what to do by anyone other than Jim. Well, Jim and Cherry, I should say. He practically worships the ground Cherry walks on. He doesn't have much use for Jamie either, and Jamie is never anything but nice to him.
You think a lot of Jamie, don't you?
I do. People think it's easy to be the daughter of a wealthy family, but Jamie works harder than anyone.
So, what's your beef with her father?
I wish I knew. I consider Jamie a friend, as we pretty much grew up together, but I've been hesitant to ask. She's touchy about discussing personal issues. And they haven't always been at each other's throats like what you saw, just so you know. In fact, they were very close until Jim started to change. Is there any chance at all you can figure it out?
Yeah, there's always a chance, little filly. Need to meet all the players before we can make a real assessment, though. We need to meet the wife.
I'll take you up to the house for refreshments after we see Mariah. She should be up by then. Well, that's odd.
What is?
Well, she's already up, and she's headed this way. From the stables. What on earth was she doing down there?
Riding? Well, looks like she has riding gear on.
She does right on occasion. Good morning, Jerry. Getting an early workout?
Early for me, anyway. I swear the rest of you are all chickens and roosters. Hello, friends of Virginia. I'm Jerry Reynolds.
Sam Diamond.
Mimi Diamond.
Not brother and sister by any chance. No, I didn't think so. Not that it matters. I'm married to the great Jim Reynolds. But if I wasn't...
Mr. and Mrs. Diamond are interested in renting horses for their daughters.
You don't say. Good for you. Everyone should get on a horse. Being able to ride is the one thing I like about this dump.
You don't like the ranch, Mrs. Reynolds?
As a business, it's fine, I suppose. It's just that my idea of a ranch includes massages and saunas, if you know what I mean. Say, why don't you two come up to the house with me and have a nice glass of lemonade? Or something harder, if you're in the mood. It's hot out here, even for February.
Earl just went to fetch Mariah for them to look at.
Ugh, the horse can wait. I haven't had real people to talk to in ages. I'm dying to know where you got that darling hat, Mimi.
That was a gunshot.
It came from inside the house.
Oh my God, Jim! Jamie, what happened?
It's Dad! He's dead! Here in the office!
He is dead, Will. Shot in the heart.
Jim? Dead? Why, Jamie? Why did you do it?
I didn't. I didn't do it. I would never kill my father.
We'd like to believe you, Jamie, but you have blood on your clothes and a gun in your hand, and we heard you arguing with him.
I swear I had nothing to do with this. I came into the office to ask my father a question. I found him like that and looked for a pulse. Well, that's how the blood got on me. I grabbed the gun we keep in the desk and fired it to get your attention. That's the only shot I fired, I swear. We have to go after the real killer.
If there was a real killer, he's hiding or long gone. Virginia, go out and make sure nobody goes out the front gate. Frankie, you keep an eye on these two. I'll go call my brother. He's not gonna like this one bit. I was right. George didn't like it. He didn't like that I was in attendance of another murder. He didn't like that it involved a friend of Harry's. And he didn't like the idea of driving 20 miles to the murder scene. I could have called the local gendarme, but he would have liked being left out even less, and they would have called him in anyway. I didn't like the scenario myself. It had the feel of a stage play. But who put on the play? And for whom? While we waited for George, I had Frankie move everyone into the living room. I stayed in the office, partially to protect the crime scene and partially to get a good look at it. Jim Reynolds had collapsed over his desk. I moved him back so I could see what he had been working on. Under him were several rental contracts, an appointment calendar, and a small book with names and phone numbers. None of that seemed worth dying over. Then I checked the body itself. He had died with his right hand balled into a fist. I pried the fist open. It held a small piece of cloth with lettering on it that I couldn't make out, and a long dark hair that was too thick and wiry to be human. That wasn't the oddest thing I found on him, though. In his inner coat pocket, along with his wallet, was a small folded bit of tinfoil that contained a couple of grains of a white powder. I only got that far when not one, but both of my siblings arrived. Things instantly went from complicated to stickier than flypaper.
Okay, men, you five, search the grounds. McKellen and Guinness stand guard at the front gate. No one in or out unless I say so. Oh, Harry! What are you doing here?
I called Virginia to see how things were going. The housekeeper told me she couldn't come to the phone because Mr. Reynolds had been murdered. So I came to see if I could help.
No, you can't. Go home.
Oh, but Jojo.
Let her stay, George. She might actually be useful, even if it's just to mind the animals while we question everyone.
We? Oh, no, not this time, little brother. This case is too important. Jim Reynolds was a personal friend of the commissioner. He wants this case solved quickly and cleanly.
So, you don't even want my insight or my keen observations? Okay.
Okay, fine. Lead me to the crime scene. You come too, Francis. Harry, you just stand there. Don't talk to anyone and don't touch anything.
Yes, brother dear.
Ramsey's really up in arms, huh?
Oh, he sure is. Apparently Reynolds is one of his biggest supporters. I have to get this right the first time. So, what have you got?
What I have is my detective sense on full power. Frankie and I were witness to an argument between the victim and his daughter, Jamie. We also saw some tension between the ranch foreman and our client, Virginia, and observed how should I put it, lack of passion for the business from his widow. It all seemed staged, like everything was a show put on for our benefit. It's just too pat to be real. I think it's a setup.
Really? You caught the daughter red-handed, literally, but you don't think she did it?
No, I don't. Catching Jamie like we did reeks of a frame. The question is, who else could have done it? We only heard one shot. Frankie and I were outside talking to Virginia and Mrs. Reynolds when the gun went off, so, well, that lets them off.
Someone could be in cahoots with the daughter, even your client.
She could be. She went into the house for a few minutes. She could have shot him then, using a silencer to throw suspicion off of her.
But you don't buy that scenario either, Francis. I can hear it in your voice.
No, I don't, Lieutenant George. Virginia's very passionate about her work here and the people she works for. And I believe that passion is genuine.
Say the victim was shot earlier, not by your client, and the daughter did just fire a warning shot. All right, who's the killer?
It could have been anyone who was on the grounds at the time, unfortunately. People were coming and going the whole time we were here before the gunshot was heard.
Maybe they all did it, like that mystery novel about the murder on the train. I believe anything at this point, including a horse trained to pull a trigger. Looks like I'll need your help after all. But do exactly what I tell you. No more, no less. Got that? And that goes for you too, Francis. Not that I would think for a minute that you would, disobey my orders.
Yes, brother dear. I wouldn't want you to lose your job, and I wouldn't want to lose my license. Well, I'll even keep Harry out of your hair.
Please, I don't even want to remember she's here.
That's not all I have, though.
Oh. What else?
I noticed he had balled up his fist. I wanted to find out if he had anything in his hand before Rigger sent in.
Did he have anything in his hand?
Yeah. This bit of cloth and this hair.
Cloth is writing on it. Flour sack?
Yeah, more likely a feed sack. The hair isn't human. I'm guessing horse.
Well, good guess, seeing where we are. Anything else?
This tiny wad of foil was in his inner coat pocket.
Tiny wad of foil, huh? Well, could be from a cigarette pack.
Folded that neatly? And there are a couple of powder grains in it.
You think drugs, I can tell. Could that be the real motive for the murder?
Could be. Could be I'm overthinking it, and he just had a habit of folding foil after he had a powdered donut.
Only one way to find out. It's heroin, all right. That does put a spin on things. Let's start by talking to these people. As of right now, I'm saying the daughter did it. There's enough evidence for any jury to convict her. Now, that being said, I'm willing to entertain other theories if we can find proof. If you're right, and there is a different guilty party, maybe they'll let something slip if they think they're off the hook.
Why don't Harry and I take a look at the barns and the other outbuildings while you do that? And we'll take Virginia with us. We can question her while we search. She might confide in fellow females.
Good idea. Let me know immediately if you come up with anything. Where did you put everyone, Will?
Living room.
Let's use this outer office for interviews, and let's start with a daughter. Harris, bring in Miss Reynolds. Thanks. Miss Reynolds, I'm Lieutenant Ruby of Homicide.
I didn't kill my father. I'll swear on any Bible in any court to that effect.
There's an awful lot of evidence to the contrary. That argument, for instance, what was that all about?
I don't see how that's any business of yours, Mr. Diamond.
The name's actually Ruby. Will Ruby. I was hired to find out what was causing all the tension around here.
Hired? You're a private detective.
He is, and before you ask, yes, he's my brother. I've asked him to help out, so answer his question.
Cherry must have hired you to dig for dirt to get me off the ranch.
Actually, I was hired by someone who cares about this place as much as you do. And just so you know, I don't think you did it. My brother doesn't agree. If you are innocent, lose the chip on your shoulder and let me help you.
I'm sorry. I'm not used to having someone on my side. Not lately, anyway.
Why is that?
I wish I knew. Everything was fine, even after Dad married Cherry. Then all of a sudden, he started acting strange. He'd snap at everyone, and he shut himself up in his office a lot. He started taking meetings without me. I couldn't figure it out. Nothing had changed between us, not a thing. As for the argument, it was one of a series about the future of the ranch. Dad was thinking about selling it. I didn't want him to, of course. I even offered to buy it from him. I don't have all of his asking price, but I'm pretty close, and I know I could get loans for the rest. I've already spoken with a couple of banks.
But your father didn't want to sell to you.
He wouldn't tell me if he would or not. He wouldn't even tell me if he was going to go through with selling it. Well, that was frustrating to say the least. Rising Star Ranch means so much to me. More than just a business. It's been in my family for generations, and I'm proud to be part of that heritage.
Any idea why he wanted to sell?
He didn't say, but I'd lay odds Cherry was behind it. She hates this place. She's said so many times. I heard her telling him more than once that she wished they could trade the ranch in for a ranch style in the city. She may have worn him down.
So you think your stepmother is the murderer?
I don't know what to think anymore. This whole thing is awful. All I know is that I didn't do it. I would never kill anyone, especially not Dad. I loved him, no matter how mad he got me.
Where were you before you found your father?
I was up in my room. I had some financial reports sent over from the bank I wanted to look over. Even though things were tense, Dad still relied on me to audit the books. There was a couple of entries I had questions about, so I came down to ask him about them. That's when I found him.
Weird entries, huh? Like maybe unexplained withdrawals?
Yes, and checks to payees I'd never heard of.
So maybe funds were being embezzled. Harris, take Miss Reynolds up to her room and get those financial reports. And send in the ranch foreman, what's his name, Will?
Earl.
Send Earl in on your way up.
Yes, sir. How can I help?
Full name?
Earl Hannaford. I'm the ranch foreman.
How friendly are you with the family?
Friendly enough. Do you mean, how much do I know about them personally? About as much as any hired hand does. I guess, which is to say, not much.
Mm-hmm. How long have you worked here?
2 years. Before here, I worked for a ranch up in Ventura County. Can I ask a question?
Go ahead.
Why is Mr. Diamond here? He can't be a suspect, can he?
I could be, technically, I guess, but I'm not. I'm also not the father of 2 girls, just the owner of a detective agency. My real name is Will Ruby.
A Seamus. I should have known. You weren't talking money. Most clients, the first thing they want to know is how much it's going to cost them.
I'll remember that for the next time I go undercover as a horse renter. Speaking of horses, you were supposed to bring out one for us to see, but you never did. What happened?
I got a little sidetracked. One of the other horses, Rusty, our best trick horse, came up a little lame during his exercise round. I stopped in his stall to check on him. You can ask any of the workers. They saw me. I was just about to lead Mariah out when I heard the gunshot. I left her and came up here at a fast run.
You didn't see anyone leave the house as you approached it?
No, sir. I didn't see a soul coming or going. I wish I had. I just can't believe Miss Jamie would kill her father. She's a nice lady, and her father was a good man. Anything else?
No, not for now. Please go back to the den with the others to wait. We'll call you back if we need you. He's hiding something. He was much too cooperative.
Funny. I was thinking the same thing. What do you think it is?
Could be a criminal record. Could be a gambling problem. You say he'd gone to the stables to bring a horse out for you just before the shot was fired.
Yeah, which makes him absolutely elsewhere. An idea that always drives me nuts.
Me too. Okay, time for some background checks. This is Lieutenant Ruby, aren't I, please? Ruby here. I need everything you have on an Earl Hannaford, James Reynolds, Jamie Reynolds, Rising Star Ranch, and, hang on a sec. Who else, Will?
Cherry Reynolds. Don't know her maiden name. Oh, and Virginia Gregg.
Cherry Reynolds. Also look for her maiden name and Virginia Gregg. Need them fast. Call me back at Thornhill 92782. Yeah, thanks. Hopefully they'll come up with something good.
Yeah, hopefully. I need to take a walk and sort out my thoughts. I can't help but feel we've missed a big clue.
Okay, just don't go too far. I'll interview the widow next. Anything I need to know about her?
Well, she was with us when the shot was fired. The rest you'll be able to figure out for yourself. Especially the part where you need to keep at least a desk between you and her. Let's see. Jamie went into the house. Virginia went in. Cherry wasn't in. She was out, which was unusual. Earl was out as well.
Will, we found something. I don't quite know what to make of it. Come see what you think.
I'm not sure if I can think about one more thing, but okay. Did you and Harry get anything from Virginia?
Mostly that she's fiercely loyal to Jim Reynolds and to Jamie. She let it slip that she was a troubled teen, and they were the ones who gave her both a second chance and a real family. She didn't kill him, Will. I'm sure of it.
Yeah, I don't think so either. So what did you find?
Hey, Willie. Francis wanted to meet Mariah while we searched, so Virginia brought us here to her stall. We slipped in to give her a carrot.
I stepped back here and noticed the floor in this corner sounded hollow.
Know anything about this, Virginia?
About a year ago, Jim had the stalls refurbished and new floors put in. They're concrete, though. I don't see how part of it could be hollow.
Well, it is. Yeah. Part of the floor was dug out and topped with a thin slab to make it look like the rest of the floor.
Anything inside?
No, but it looks like there was. Oh, there's a sliver of tinfoil in here. Wait a minute. Tinfoil. But Mariah is a light-colored horse. Virginia, what color is the horse named Rusty, and where does he live?
He's all black, and he has a loose box at the end of this aisle. I'll show you. Be careful, Will. Rusty isn't dangerous, but he's really, really smart. He figured out how to unlock the stall door and get out. That's why there are covers over the bolts and the door handle.
Smart, huh? Smart enough to know what I'm looking for? Did someone hide anything in your stall today, Rusty? Be a good boy and show me. If you do, I'll give you a nice juicy carrot. Wow! He knew right where the hole was. I've never seen a horse do something like that. Is that normal?
For Rusty, it is. We had him bowing, putting out a fire with a bucket of water, stealing the bad guy's gun, and a whole bunch of other stunts. I think he may know English better than I do.
Wow. 2 carrots for you then, Rusty. Now, to get this open...
What's in there, Will?
A feed bag filled with something I wouldn't give a dirty skunk, never mind a horse, or a human for that matter. And looky what else is in here. A gun with a silencer. Yeah, it's been fired recently. Things are beginning to fall into place. We just need to figure out how he could be the murderer.
I don't understand, Will. What things make sense?
This bag is full of packets of heroin. Jim Reynolds was killed because he found out that his ranch was being used to smuggle drugs. The hollowed-out floor sections in the stalls were hiding places for the stuff. Earl must have made them while the cement was still wet, without anyone else knowing. I bet anything you'll find other hiding places in the trailers you used to transport the animals. The gun and silencer proved my theory that Jim Reynolds was killed earlier.
But, Will, how could he have killed Jim? He was down here, either with us or coming to get Mariah. We're his best witnesses to that.
That's the rub. He must have had an accomplice. Wait a minute. When did you say Jim met Cherry, Virginia?
About 2 years ago.
And as I recall, Earl said he's been the foreman here for 2 years?
That's right. Oh, you don't think...
That's exactly what I think.
Hang on. You're saying the shot you heard wasn't the shot that killed Mr. Reynolds?
That's what I'm saying. The coroner should agree with me. He does, and I'll know for sure I'm right.
Too bad the information won't do you any good. Don't move. I've got a lot of guns, and one is aimed right at you all. I had a feeling you'd find my stash once I found out that you were shameless. That's not going to do you any good either. You, the dame with the red hair.
My name is Harry, and it's Titian, not Red. Ask my mother.
I don't care if it's purple. Take that bag from the Seamus and bring it over here, now.
Do it, Harry.
Earl, are you in there?
Yeah, you ready to go?
Yeah. Oh, you have company.
Company that's gonna get us out of here. I was hoping we could sneak out through the back gate while the cops were busy at the house, but we'll go with this backup plan. Too bad we have to leave. It was a nice racket while it lasted, wasn't it, baby?
Most of it. Also too bad Jim had to catch on. We could have kept this up for years. I kind of hated to kill him. He was an okay guy.
Oh, baby, we'll just start another racket. This time in Mexico.
Yeah, you won't get that far. You'll get caught long before you reach the border.
Not as long as we have this dame, we won't. The cops wouldn't want an upright citizen wasted. The trailer's loaded with the rest of the merchandise, Cherry, so we'll take that. Let's go.
Oh, no, you don't, Rusty. Earl is being a bad man. We need to stop him.
Ah!
Oh, no, you don't, Mrs. Reynolds. You're not shooting a human or a horse.
You killed Earl with a horse.
No, we didn't. We merely knocked him out. Didn't we, boy?
And you didn't kill anyone either, Mrs. Reynolds. Frankie, how did you jump onto Rusty that fast?
Let's just say that you're not the only one who knows an equine trick or two.
I heard a shot. What happened?
Earl snuck up on us as we found his drug stash. He and Cherry were going to kidnap Harry and hightail it to Mexico. Frankie and Rusty had other ideas.
You should have seen it, Jojo. Earl confessed the drugs were his. Cherry confessed to the murder. They were going to escape with me as a hostage, but Frankie jumped on Rusty, and Rusty bit Earl's hand and knocked him down at the same time. I took care of Cherry. She had a gun aimed at Rusty, and I wasn't about to let her shoot him.
It was better than any Western I've ever seen.
Oh, brother. And sister. Oh, at least you're all okay.
I don't understand. How could Cherry have killed my father?
Cherry must have shot Jim, then sneaked down here via the back door of the house. Earl kept us busy by the goats, so we wouldn't have seen her.
Not surprised by any of this. Not by smuggled drugs or murder schemes or even that Francis can command a horse to take down a bad guy. I'm not surprised at anything anymore, not with a brother and sister like you two around. And that goes for you too, Francis.
Glad to know I'm part of your family now.
Thanks for taking us all to dinner, Jamie.
It was the least I could do. I'm so grateful to y'all for solving Dad's murder. Oh, I'm still trying to wrap my head around everything. How did Dad ever get involved with someone so devious?
It's easy to be fooled when you're lonely. And you know Jim was lonely. Losing your mom was really hard on him.
True. Losing the ranch is gonna be hard on me. A murderess or not, Cherry's next of kin.
You're not gonna lose the ranch, Jamie. Cherry isn't next of kin.
But she was Dad's wife.
Not legally. See, you have to divorce your first husband before you marry the second one.
Earl and Cherry are still legally married. I got the report from R&I right after we arrested them, and I consulted the family lawyer. Jim didn't have a will. You are the sole heir.
Oh, Jamie, that's wonderful. You'll be able to continue all of the work you've started.
Only if you stick around to help. We're a team, and I'm going to need you more than ever.
Of course.
One of the things I want to do is realize your dream, Virginia. To create a program for troubled youth to rehabilitate through working on the ranch.
Oh, thank you, Jamie. We'll need volunteers, though. Can I count on all of you to pitch in when we're ready to start? Say around September?
I'm sure we'll all help out in one way or another.
I hope we all do. That would mean we're all here to do it.
What Will is trying to say is that I just found out that I have to go back to England. My mother is doing poorly and needs my help. I don't know when I'll be able to come back.
What? That's awful. That I mean that your mother is ill, Francis. I hope she has a speedy recovery.
So do I. I don't know what I'm going to do without you, Frankie. Well, you know.
I do know. You're not losing me. Not forever. That would never, ever happen. As for what you'll do until I get back, get into too much mischief for your own good, I'm sure of it. To keep you in line, I have asked someone who knows you well to step in while I'm gone.
No uh-ohs, Jojo. I'm going to prove that I can be just as good as you two. In all areas. I am a Ruby after all.
You better had, or we'll all be in a heck of a lot of trouble.
This has been The Adventures of William Ruby, Private Detective, brought to you by Amber Silk Beer. Amber Silk, so smooth, so rich, it's the beer that feels as good as it tastes. Buy some today. Tonight's cast included Helen Allemano, Lauren Baumbauer, Val Kuhns, Mike Luce, Richard Tatum, Raishel Wasserman, and Keith Wright. Story by Val Kuhns. Sound patterns by Val Kuhns. This has been a Q Footsteps production.
This has been brought to you by the letter A.
Neil Lampshire.
Energy. Slow energy. Slow energy.